What is something about the company you work for that they would not like the customer to know? We store all your personal details in plain text. I work for a company that sells total defense security software. Never bite at all defense if you care about your passwords and credit card data. That our coffee is nothing more than Folgers instant and cinnamon. When people ask about the coffee because it ends up tasting pretty dang good, we tell them that we brew it fresh and that we use very expensive coffee beans. It's one fricked up world we live in, isn't it? You think you are calling to speak to someone at the hotel directly. In reality, you have reached me, sitting at home in my PJs, watching Real Housewives on mute. In all honesty, I don't care where you are, as long as you're nice and can get me the help I want. I work for a distribution center for a large grocery chain. Always wash your food, especially your fruit and vegetables. I like to keep my immune system strong. I work in the development, fundraising, office at an Ivy League university. Everyone assumes that family money has something to do with admissions at institutions like these, but I didn't realize the extent until I started working here. Although our officers are instructed to tell the parents of applicants that development and admissions have no contact, every year my team is given a contrary assignment. For every applicant, we need to look up all of their alumni relatives and write a report on their relatives' giving history to the school, current wealth, and potential for future giving. These reports go to the admissions office to be included in the applicant's file. This freaking sucks to read. Annoyingly assumed this was the case. You're paying us to put your details in a form and click submit. I was in hotels for 10 years. Hotels consider a night perfect if they're overbooked by 2-5 rooms. They count on no-shows to make up the difference, but they're totally okay with you not having the room you reserved. Likewise, if you booked with a third party like Expedia or Hotels.com, you are not guaranteed anything and will be last in line for everything because you're not considered a loyal customer. A few months ago, the company I work for had a massive security breach and basically everything clients were told about it was false. I work at a radio station. Here are some fun facts. The DJs you hear rarely live. They voice track hours ahead of time so they can go to their other jobs. Unless you're an enormously popular DJ, you'll barely make enough money to feed yourself, hence the other jobs. A lot of the voice tracks you hear are likely from other markets. If a station is too cheap to hire more on-air talent, they'll have someone from another market go over your playlist and voice track. So, if you're in Townsville, Kansas, the DJ you hear introducing that Luke Bryan song coming up may be a hip-hop DJ from New Jersey making a little extra scratch. If a DJ is live, he is most likely out doing a remote broadcast. If you see a DJ on the phone at an event, they are probably speaking with an operator back at the station. If you want to mess with them, wait until they start talking like they're on the air, then yell obscenities or whatever you're compelled to do. Even if they have a delay back in the studio, chances are the board op is an intern who's not paying enough attention to black you out in time. When a DJ says the next track is by request, they're lying 99% of the time. We just make up names to make it sound like we're engaged with the audience. The request line is often just put on hold so that callers think we're being slammed with calls and not just ignoring them. Every market I've worked in has done this. Every market. The playlist for the day is determined at the national level and then distributed to every market. And yes, it's the same 24 songs you're tired of hearing all day just shuffled up. Even locally owned, private stations use national music services to do this for them. Oh boy, could I go on. I used to work for a dish installing company for DirecTV. DirecTV would knowingly overbook appointments by the thousands of people that were just signing up and needed an installation. They would get your money, guarantee you the NFL ticket or whatever, and then give you a date that was next week, knowing that the reality of the situation was no tech was coming for at least a month or two. Source: it was my job to call and reschedule the appointment. That we don't recycle, even though we use recycling bins. My old job occasionally involved us working in a concession stand. One time my boss came running downstairs and said, "Guys, put the hot dog machine in the laundry room. The health inspector is here. We only sell pop and candy." He gave us all an extra $20 from the cash box that day. I loved that job. We've held contests, no one wins. I'm an analyst and supposed to be an expert in my field. The reality is I don't know crap and make up most of what I do. I'm starting to think all my coworkers are this way as well. We're just professional bullcrippers. HAHA, business. We keep all the card details from our customers even though we say we don't and aren't actually allowed to. Home Depot. Every employee is given, by the CEO, $50 worth of wiggle room to put the customer first. This means every deal hole that works there has the ability to knock $50 off your purchase. There are times when employees are urged not to use it, but all have the ability. This includes price matching, up to the $50 level. It is against company policy to question the customer. Hint, tell them it costs $45 less at Lowe's. They will meet and beat for a savings of $49.50. Poof. You have a drill for cheap and no proof is necessary. Also, anything that is on a green handwritten tag they want to get off their books and they will give you money off. All discounts are going to be higher on Mondays and Tuesdays, start of budget week, and even larger early in the month. Want to buy a bunch of clearance stuff they have? Has it been there a little while? Not in a hurry? Ask for the department manager and ask them if they can cut you a deal, and let them know you don't mind waiting. I used to give big discounts on big clearance orders if they bought on the first day of my fiscal month. That way I could budget for it. I am not a hot girl in your area. I am an average looking man in Yorkshire. Someone died here when he was left alone. A person was supposed to be watching him at all times. One of those steakhouses with the peanuts. Our steaks are of a lower quality grade than the ones you get at the grocery store. The kitchen is overrun with mice. Also the floor is rotten. UK chain restaurant. Apparently seen as upmarket. I used to work for a large British bank a few years ago. First day on the job in an internal IT support call center, I was shown how to access any customer's bank details in the UK, alter their mortgages, adjust their overdrafts and OFC move money in and out of their accounts. This was my first day on the job. No background or security checks, nothing, nada. I do not bank with these people anymore. All the dough we use to bake is made in a factory and delivered during the day for us to bake at night. Panera Bread Baker. The soup is frozen and brought in as well. The company I work for has a collection box for breast cancer research, sells bags covered in pink ribbons, and every October the whole place is filled with pink merchandise and flyers to help raise money. My manager was diagnosed with breast cancer and ever since her bosses have been pushing her to leave, but if she left work she would lose her health insurance and be unable to pay for her treatments. Not to mention she's a single mother with young kids and needs the income. So she comes in sick as a dog from chemo to get the mandatory almost 50 hours to keep her bosses at bay. I'm not even going to touch on how other employees are treated. University of Phoenix admissions rep and former UOP instructor. You don't have a GED? No problem. My boss knows a guy that can get you a GED in 3 days for $100. No test needed. You are worried about tuition costs? No worries. We will get you all the grants and loans you need. Deferment is a wonderful idea. You need cash now? No problem. I can make it so you can a few extra $1,000 from your student aid by misrepresenting your income, dependents, and ethnicity. Scared that college will be hard and time consuming? Nope. For $100 class, I can give you an email address to someone who will log in as you, post discussions, do your assignments, with a minimum of a B grade. Failing a class and scared about getting expelled? Tell the dean of the school that your instructor told an off-color joke about racism, sexism, or RPA, automatic A. Concerned about finding a job after graduation? No problem. We have several outbound call centers that cannot wait to hire you so you can call people to collect money from them. Don't want to work at a call center? As I have been told by dozens and dozens of recruiters, if you mention that you have a degree from any for-profit school, UOP, Kaplan, DVRY, etc., your resume gets thrown away. Think the government will shut us down? University of Phoenix spends millions of dollars to lobby senators and representatives to not look our way. Instead shut down the smaller colleges. Corinthian is the latest victim. The amount of money I see wasted here is astounding. There's a place called the RP-80 yard where they shred incinerate everything in an effort to reduce US presence in Afghanistan. It doesn't matter how expensive or reusable it was, just destroy it so we don't have to worry about sending it home or finding someone to sell it to. MRAPs, for example, cost about $500,000 for a vanilla truck. There is an endless field of them on Bagram waiting to be shredded and sold for scrap. They weigh in at about 30,000 pounds and are sold for 93 cents a pound. Call it $30,000 of scrap metal, even though it's probably a lot less. I guess the customers are taxpayers. Leave them there. We'll be back in a couple of years. We find weapons and drugs all the time and are encouraged to just dispose and ignore and not report it. I'm a high school custodian. It's one of those swanky upper class sort of schools, so we're pretty much actively encouraged to ignore stuff like that. I work at a popular coffee donut chain in Canada called Tim Hortons. Almost everything we serve in the restaurant comes from frozen soups, chili, donuts, muffins, chicken, steak, buns, croissants, and danishes. There is much more, trust me. I just find it ironic that the place that prides itself in their always fresh motto is anything but. Don't worry, we all know. I work for a defense contractor that specializes in basically doing the thinking for the federal government. We are paid via no-bid contracts because we save them money. We rarely work more than 2 real hours in a given day. I bring beer to work for the whole office, homebrewer, once a month, and people get hammered and then return to work. We have a 1959-minute rule that basically says you can charge anything to main work so long as it's less than a full hour. Analytical tools I create recycle the same core code over and over, with small changes. We code in MATLAB. We regularly talk about how fricking stupid the government is for paying us so much. My first month I was told to slow down on completing tasks or there wouldn't be any work available for me to charge to, and that would look bad for everyone else. The markups on products tend to exceed 2000%. This is true for amplifiers, like for electric guitars. They are very cheap to manufacture and sell for hundreds of dollars. Even when they have a huge 50% blowout sale, they are still making good profit. Used to work for a very expensive car brand, £300 K plus, and nearly every car had defects that were fixed with marker pen, masking tape, cheap glue etc. I'm from a third world country. One of the biggest computer software hardware companies in the world outsource most of their services to us. Now this major computer software company has an email service. If you forgot your password, or someone has hacked into your account, then it is our job to get you a new password or return the control of your account back to you. So, you fill up a form with identifying details, full name, birthday, at least 5 contacts, subjects of your recent emails, etc. So we can determine if you really are the owner of that account. We cross-check the details that you've provided us with those in your account. How do we do this? Well, we have 100% access to your account. We can read every single email. We can see your contacts, your pictures, and everything. This software company doesn't have any method to prevent us. They're outsourced agents from reading other people's emails. They basically told us, hey, don't read clients' emails. You'll get a reprimand if you do. Even if I don't have a ticket on my queue, I can easily open the emails of anyone I know who uses this email service, as long as I know their username. The same goes for this company's cloud service. We can also open any files that you store in their cloud, even if you set them on private. I can blackmail a lot of people if I want to, but I won't do that, because I'm a good person. Please don't say Gmail. Used to work at the Levi's flagship store in San Francisco. We had a pair of the oldest known Levi's in existence framed on the wall in the boutique, and every now and then some out-of-towner would come in boasting about how rich they were and how Levi's represents the American dream, yada yada, and demand the rarest thing in the store as a memento. We were told to direct them to the torn up old jeans on the wall, and tell them they were from the 1880s and had been found in a barn in the early 20th century. They would then fork out $1,500 or so and be on their way with their fricked up jeans, and we would replace them with another copy from the storeroom. Now that I think of it, Levi's would probably like people to know about this. What with all the assimilated working class propaganda they used to sell their pants. Distraction from the more evil crap. Unfortunately, I haven't been to a sweatshop, so those stories will have to be left to someone else. I desperately hope there is someone reading this with one of those pairs of jeans just saying "God dang it" right now. My father works for an excavating company. They find human remains a couple times a year, and if they're not somewhat fresh, 10 years they just bury them back in the ground. The government will delay the project for months, sometimes costing employees their wages and companies millions in delays, so everyone just pretends they didn't see it. If you bother us long enough, you get free crap. I used to work at Borders bookstore, and once a month it was typical to clear out unused stock. For thousands of books we ripped off the front covers, mailed them into the publisher as proof of destruction, and threw the rest of the book in the garbage. I once asked if I could have one of the books and received a stern no. I only worked there 2 months because the monthly book destruction almost made me cry. If you shoplift at our store, even if we see you doing it, you can walk right out with the item and we aren't even allowed to accuse you of it. We keep track of all our inventory on a giant erasable whiteboard. There is no other place physically or virtually to obtain this information. Literally someone could randomly walk by and force us to recount thousands of tiny parts. I work at a robotics company and our customers are various hospitals all over the country. The thought of this makes me want to cry. Someone bring in a laptop with Excel, anything but a whiteboard. The only time we ever follow our process to a T is when we are being audited. Aha, you work for a company in the world. I could easily be replaced by a series of Google searches. Pizza Hut uses literally a cup of oil in all of their pan pizzas. There's an oil sprayer device in the kitchen that sprays a cup of oil into the bottom of the pan before you put the frozen frisbee of dough into thaw. Stating the obvious, but investment bankers are not valued for some magic financial skills, only for their relentless salesmanship, work ethic and vast network of connections due to the hours put in. Any keyboard monkey can do a standard financial model or structure the optimal deal. The hard part comes in closing the deal by manipulating the client investor. We have cost a lot of people their licenses and livelihoods. We install Interlocks, a machine that will allow your car to turn on if you don't have alcohol in your breath. The problem is that many do not function properly and report incorrectly. When the client fails a test and says, "I've been sober for a year," we say, "Well, the machine reported alcohol, and you can't prove otherwise. Either you fork over $X to cover the violation fees, or we will report non-compliance and you get your license revoked." They have no choice. One day you wake up to go to work and your car doesn't turn on because of the machine. You wonder why. You ask us why. We tell you to tow the car to our shop, at your expense, and we will look at the unit and refund the tow. We say it was a violation. We won't refund your tow and you also owe us $X for violation fees. The DMV gets a copy of this violation. Your program gets extended for 6 months to a year because of our faulty equipment, which we say we replaced for customer satisfaction and not for malfunctions. All the while you're missing work because we're only open on Friday the 8th of May. X equals anywhere between $50 and $100. We basically hold licenses for ransom. A Walmart in the Inland Empire area of Southern California. Hazardous waste disposal bins are located 1 foot away from a rack used to store food products. This is not an exaggeration. Televisions and other sensitive, high-value electronics are often dropped on the ground. No inspection is ever made to see if the product is damaged. Employees are forced to use an unsecured 2-foot-wide metal ramp to unload trucks because the store refuses to pay to have the docking ramps repaired. Several injuries and close calls have already happened. Employees often do not report serious injuries for fear of management retaliation. There is a cockroach infestation near and in the food storage coolers. An alarmingly large number of employees have had to go on medical leave because of severe reactions to insect spider bites. Somebody there needs to sack up and anonymously call OSHA. Most of this thread is money gouging or frozen food. It sounds like somebody there is going to die. About 99% of our products are available through Amazon for cheaper prices. About 99% of our products are available through Amazon for cheaper prices.